Do 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 do
Spiritual sex and candy, yeah.
Hey, sensual souls. It is Heather, your shamanic sweetener. Welcome to Spiritual Sex and Candy. And of course, we have my illustrious co host, JP Atkins, our Freedom Jedi. Hey, JP.
Hello, Miss Heather. It's nice to see you.
It's nice to be seen. Totally fucked up that whole intro to the show. That just tells you
We're in for it today. It's a beautiful
that
day.
that tells you how my day is going right now in that first 30 seconds of the show. We're on episode 35, Love Languages of the Soul, Spiritual Traditions, and on Love and Connection. We're going to talk about the love languages.
Yay!
Yay for love languages. I know, why doesn't everyone just come hang out for a minute? Take a deep breath.
It's a lot right now. There's a lot of things going on. So,
Yes. It was a crazy weekend for me. It's been a crazy weekend for you for different reasons.
mhm.
And we're not as spry as we used to be. Um,
No.
is that a good word? Spry? We're not as
I like
spry.
spry. Spry is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely am not as spry as I used to be. Um, but I don't know if I was ever really spry.
I can't say that I was either, to be fair.
So, um, we need a disclaimer.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Here we are a trigger warning. Here's your trigger warning. If you are easily offended, if you're going to tell us our opinions are wrong, um, it's time for you to leave. We say fuck a lot. We talk about sex. I mean, it's in the name, spiritual sex and candy. We talk about all of those things, and we talk about drugs, and we talk about trauma, and we could talk about sexual assault. We could talk about suicide, death. We talk about all of those things during our podcast. You never know what's going to come up. And even though tonight we're talking about love, we probably are going to talk a little bit about sex as well. So if you are easily offended, if then we love you. Keep your opinions to yourself because we don't give a fuck. And show yourself out now. All right. Love
awesome.
languages of the soul. So how was your week, Jeff? You've been going through it.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of things. Dad's back in the hospital. If you guys have been following along, my mom just passed. My dad's been sick for a long time. Um, he went to the hospital. They were going to release him to a nursing home. He made it for 24 hours before they sent him back to the hospital. So, and he's doing okay. He's stable. He's doing okay. They're moving him from high visibility to a step down unit, um, which he never made it. He was never in ICU. He went to the watch, the step down from that, and then
Right.
they're gonna try him in another regular room for 24 hours, and then he's probably gonna go back to a facility for now. His goal is to get back to walking. That's his goal.
Okay.
If
So we're
anyone
gonna
is
send
going to do it,
Dad all the love and all the healing vibes that um things go as best as they can go.
yeah.
Right.
If anyone could do it, it's my dad. It's gonna be him sharing the cockroaches when it's all said and done.
Right.
He will outlive me. I say this all the time. I don't know how in this
Right.
like weird limbo that he is in. So he was supposed to die 3 years ago.
Well,
So
there you go.
you know, we've
Yep.
had 3 beautiful years. How about you, Miss Heather? I know that you had some fun this weekend.
I had yeah, so this weekend was epic. Friday we spent Valentine's Day at Epcot, Disney World. I live outside of Orlando. And so it was my first time going to Disney World. We went to Epcot, so that was super super amazing, super exhausting. I'm too fat and out of shape for that shit. No, it was good. It was good. I mean, I have fibro, so me walking 15,000 steps in a day is a feat in and of itself. And I did it. My hips hurt worse than anything. Um, my legs were tired and exhausted, but it was a good day. And then I went Saturday night. My friends that I live with, um, he went and got a Garbage Pail Kid tattoo. It's so amazing. Um, and so I went along because I've been looking for a tattoo artist, and so I got a little 333 on my hand to go with my strawberries. I love it because it looks like it just belongs there, like it's been there all along.
Mhm.
Got a little nose piercing and got scheduled for another tattoo. I'm actually getting my arm done on Friday, so I'm super excited.
That's so cool. That's so cool. You
Yeah.
know mine. I have one that I want, and um, I'm just waiting for myself to just decide that I'm going to do it. I've had it for a long time. It's something that I did, that I designed. So um,
I don't even know
uh,
how many I have anymore, to be honest. Like, a lot.
a lot.
And then, like, do you count this as a whole tattoo or three separate tattoos? Because I got three, the three parts of it at separate times.
Yeah.
Though they all go very well together.
Well, I mean, they're designed that way.
Yeah, it looks like it was designed that way. The strawberries are one of my favorite
Mhm.
tattoos. It's a great story behind it. People think I just have strawberries, and and they always go, "Oh, I love your strawberry tattoo," and then I tell the story, which I will tell on another episode. It's a great story. But even the little girl who did my threes, um, she was like, "I really love your strawberry tattoo," and I was like, "Well, it's not just strawberries," and I told her the story, and then she goes, "Oh my god, I love it even more," and I was like, "Yeah, that's all of my tattoos have a meaning, though. I know
Mhm.
people go and get random tattoos, but all of mine have some sort of significance, even the ones I want to cover up.
I I did go on a date though, or I went out and saw Brave New World.
How
I don't
was
know if
it?
I'm calling it. It it was good.
I want to see
It's
it.
actually it's really good. I would. It's a movie that you want to see in the theater. I mean, it is an action movie. You do want to see in the theater.
Yeah.
Um, I saw it in IMAX, which was nice. Um, I'm a little upset. One of the people that were supposed to go. So, little funny. I was gonna go with my two exes, my two most recent ex-boyfriends. Um, and
We
one of
use
them
that
ended
term
up.
loosely.
Yes, yes. The but yeah. Um, but my and so he and one of them ended up not going and has disappeared off the radar again, which is kind of his mo.
Right.
Whatever. Um, bye. Have fun. Um, may you be blessed and
Yes.
get the peace that you deserve. It wasn't a date by any means. It really was. I was gonna go see Brave New World. I was gonna see it with my niece. If I didn't see it with them, it was
Right.
with my niece. Although the one that did show up brought me candy and this really cool. I know you guys have seen these, but they're like really kind of fun. The hot chocolate guys.
That's hysterical. I have never seen one of those, and that is
You've never
awesome.
seen one of these? Oh my god, they're really really good. My sister gave me one for
The perfect
Christmas.
man, and it's a chocolate, and he's wearing heart boxers.
Yeah, it's a hot chocolate bomb.
He's sweet and what? Deliciously rich or something?
Yeah, it's a hot chocolate bomb. You put it in.
That is his.
Yeah,
Oh, it's a hot chocolate bomb.
yeah,
Stop it.
yeah.
That's fantastic. I thought it was just
And
like
yet,
a chocolate man. I was like, hey, I'll take a chocolate man.
yeah, yeah.
I like me a chocolate man once in a while.
And it kind of does look like Max. And he brought me another like big thing of chocolates and some candy for the theater. I mean, it was nice. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
I wasn't going all there. I did buy the tickets, but that's because I was off. I was working from home, so it was just easier for me to buy the tickets. And I
Right.
saw that the theater was filling up really, really quickly. We weren't going to get to sit together. It was almost a full theater, which was kind of interesting because it's the first time I've seen a movie with a full theater in a long time. I
Well,
tend to
yeah,
go in
it was
off hours.
opening day, wasn't it?
The next day, yeah, and it was a late showing, and like it was that showing. Like you know what I
Right.
mean? Like it was gonna be the one that's got filled, and it was
Was
nice.
there
It was a
anyone in
really good movie.
cosplay? Was anyone dressed up?
No one was dressed up,
That's my
which was kind of
fave.
sad. That is kind of sad. I'm trying to decide for the Nashville event. Our Friday night party is movies, so superheroes movies
Nice.
is the idea, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to finally get the Jedi stuff that I've been saying I was going to get
Do
for a
it.
while now, or am I going to get a Jeff Blandshark?
Is there a Jeff the Land? Is there a shirt? You want a shirt? What do you want?
It's the
Oh, like
costume.
a
It's like
onesie?
it's a whole costume.
You need to
They
send
have
it
the
to
blow up
me.
ones.
I
They
will
have
make
blow up
that
ones.
happen.
They have blow up ones.
I
They
want
have onesies.
pictures. I will make that shit happen. If you want to be
That
Jeff the Land Shark, I will make that happen. I will get you a shark onesie. You could get a Jeff. We could get you a Jeff pin for it. Like,
and if you guys don't know what Jeff the Landshark is, it's a Marvel character, and his comics are all called It's Jeff. And I went to the comic store with my friend, and I walked in, and I was the only one that bought anything because I saw this big old comic that said It's Jeff. Like it was the first thing that like on a whole wall of comics, it stood out. It's like the coloring was different, everything was different, and it's like big bold letters. It's Jeff, and it's the cutest, most adorable,
and he's associated with
stupidest.
Deadpool, right?
And it's Deadpool and Gwenpool, like the teenage. And I don't know how she fits in. To be honest with you guys, I'm not. I'm kind of a nerd, but I'm not really a nerd. And if it hasn't hit a movie yet,
I'm not a nerd. I'm just not. I
um
um I'm just not. I'm not a movie buff. I mean, I've seen Lord of the Rings a bunch of times. I've seen Harry Potter a bunch of times, but I do not know details about either one of those. I mean, I do know some, but like I don't know backstory. I'm just not that person.
yeah,
I'm not a,
I'm
you know.
Harry Potter. I'm pretty good at. Um, don't ask me to quote things. Never ask me to quote a movie. I
Right.
I I'm not there for that. I don't care if I've seen that movie 100 times, and I might know the quote
Yeah.
honestly. And as soon as you give me a word, I'm probably gonna recall,
Yeah.
but I don't have to remember that, so therefore I don't. Um,
Yeah, I'm a
it was
great person to take to the movies. Like all the movies that people are like, it's not like the comic book, or they would get all, upset about
Mhm.
whatever. And I'm like, I thought it was a great movie because I have no expectations of what I think it's supposed to be, right? Because I'm not into any of that. My roommate, however, has um some comic books. We'll just put it that way. I said 1,000 altogether. I'm sure there is more than, but they're big collectors of all kinds of things.
Mhm.
So, he collects Hot Wheels, she collects Barbies, and there are rooms dedicated in our house to those things. So,
The only one that's really disappointed me, like, there's only been one thing that's disappointed me, and that was the Nick Fury. It was a show, and it just was like,
Oh, one of
no,
the spin-off shows.
yeah, and I can't put it this way. I can't tell you the name of it because
Right.
it's like it was that
I don't
bad.
know that I've watched all the shows. I guess we should talk about our topic today, huh?
We
Love
can. I mean,
languages. Love
I got
languages of
one
the soul.
of the soul. So the book came out some years ago about love languages, and I think
Yeah.
that I really do send it to people when they're like they just start dating. It's one of the questions I ask: "What's your love language? Do you know your love language?" And I send them a quiz. I find a quiz
Yeah.
for them and like do it.
Who is that by?
I
I'm looking it up right now.
I dated someone that had the opposite love language that I did. So first off, do you know what your love language is, Heather? I guess
I
that's where
do
we
know
should
what my
start.
love language is.
What is your love
So if you would like, you can look it up. It's the five love languages, how to express your heartfelt commitment to your mate, and it's by Gary Chapman. So I want to make sure that I give credit where credit is due. I do. So mine has changed over
yeah.
time. So I started giving my clients love language tests as well. It's one of my favorite things. I send them a PDF. You can go online and download it if, whatever. Um, I have them do it because then it shows them how they need to treat themselves as well, right? So
Mhm.
part of knowing what your love language is, not only does it allow you to communicate with your partner um, what you expect from them, right? Because it ends up being an unset expectation in relationships.
Mhm.
But also what is going to work for you as well. So I took it, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and mine was words of affirmation. Right? And if anyone knows me, that's totally fitting, right? I'm like, well, duh, because I am very much, and it's how we show love. I have to throw that in
Yes.
there, right? Because it's also what we tend to do to show love to other people,
Hmm.
right? Is whatever our love language is. So mine was words of affirmation. I took it today, yesterday, I don't fucking know. In the past couple of days, and it has actually changed to quality time. And by a big difference, like to the other ones.
Okay.
Yeah, the next one is words of affirmation, but like I got 11 quality times.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that would make sense because right now, you know, in some ways, you spend a lot of time alone.
Yeah.
So when you do get that quality time, when you do have somebody that really wants to spend time with you and really wants to be there, that would be a way that they would show you love and the way
Yeah.
that you would receive love.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
So
For sure. Yeah.
that totally makes sense. Mine is I have my top three are very close actually. Um, because of course I'm always like right there. You can just love me any way you want to. But no, I'm my top one is touch. Um, and it's funny because I dated somebody not too long ago that his was not. His touch was like not good for him at all. Like it was like very low, like at a 6%. And so anytime I wanted to touch him, like the little touches, it's
Right.
not the big touches, like let's fuck. It really is the little, like hold my hand, put your hand on my leg when we're watching a movie. Like
Right.
those little things that you just, they mean a lot to me. And his wasn't, and it really just like it kind of like grossed him out to be touched. So it was completely opposite. So we had to really come to terms with that.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't always want to grab his hand, and I had to watch myself, and I literally would put my hands in my lap. So I went when we were in the car, just like touch his hand.
Yeah.
And then when I did, he would just leave it there and not like physically recoil. which was kind of nice because that's literally like saying you're gross,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And his was acts of service. Was his number one. So I had to
My
always think
third
about
was physical touch, which is interesting because I'm all or nothing on that, to be fair.
it. Yeah.
And so either I want all the love and I want to lay on top of you and I want you to squeeze me and all the things, or I want to sit on the opposite side of the couch and maybe touch toes with each other, like I'm in
Mhm.
all like, and it really depends on my mood.
Yeah.
It really, but I love the being in the car and hand on the thigh, being in a restaurant, sit next to, the walk in the kitchen, grab an ass cheek, smack an
Mhm.
ass cheek once in a while, you know. Um,
Yeah. It's those little touches for me. It's the
yeah,
little touches, and like the big touches are great and they're wonderful, and give me a hug, okay, awesome. But
yeah.
those little touches mean everything. They mean everything for me. And it's funny because mine are so close. Physical touch was 32%, quality time was 29%, and words of affirmation was 26%. So they
Did
are
you
like
find that
right.
online?
I did. I had. And I will try to remember to have that put in the show notes, the quiz.
Yeah,
Um, but it was, and then my other two are 6% each.
that's
So
funny.
it's like I don't care about those at all. Like you can buy me gifts all you want. That doesn't show me anything. I love you and I appreciate it, but it's
It's
not a way to show me love.
Yeah, it's funny because I did it manually. Like, I'm old school. I have a PDF. I like wrote it down on a piece of paper. I'm not all high tech like Jeff is. Um, and out of 30 questions, two of them were gift giving. And then it makes me and then I think about it, right? So when you do this, if you go out there and do this, it's really fun and it really speaks a lot. Like, if you're dating someone, married to someone, have your partner do it too,
Mhm.
because you will notice that the things your partner does for you is actually their love language, right?
Yes.
um and gift giving is so low on my, and I think it is because I don't know how many times someone has helped me, or and this is across the board, right? Because this is your love language in general. This doesn't just necessarily mean partners and stuff, that those things have been thrown in my face. Like, I've helped
Mhm.
you, I've done this for you, look what I did for you, and then at the end, I felt like I could never be grateful enough for what they did. You know what I mean? So for me, giving gifts is like,
Please don't.
please don't. Now, with that being said, I love the little thoughts of when I'm in a relationship, and I do this for my friends as well. The little things like, I stopped at the grocery store, I stopped at the store on the way home and brought you your favorite soda, or brought you your
Mhm.
snack, or though, I don't feel like that's really gift giving, but that is one of my favorite things in a relationship is, here's a cup of coffee, babe, I made you your coffee's waiting on the counter for you.
That's thoughtfulness.
Yeah.
You know, acts of service in a little bit, but I mean, it's just being thoughtful, caring. I
Yeah.
think that one of my favorite memories of my ex, and he did it a few times, and I think I talked about it last week because it seems to me I just talked about this. Um, but he would leave me little notes sometimes,
Yeah.
and he would make my coffee, and there'd be a little note, and I had this frog that hold my scoop. He was awesome. I loved him. He had two martini glasses at one point, and he was in this like um, Hawaiian shirt. But he used to put these little notes by that.
Yeah.
Your coffee's ready. Just push play. Just push on. And today's coffee is Sumatra. If he knew that my coffee was getting low, he would check and he would pick it up on the way home, and he would hide it. So I didn't necessarily know that it was what the new coffee would be. And we used to get bougie coffee because I'm, you know,
You're a
so bougie.
bougie coffee drinker.
I'm a bougie coffee drinker. I will be the first to tell you. I mean, there was a reason why I had my own coffee line. So that was really wonderful, and it does make you feel loved. But it was more of the words of affirmation that I love you.
Yeah.
You know, these were the little I love yous that
Yeah,
he used to
mine.
say.
So they are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. Those are the
Yeah,
five that, and you will fall into a couple of those, like we just talked
right.
about. Like you usually have your top three that are, quality time for me right now is a huge thing, though.
Yeah,
Making time for me to feel like I am important in your life.
I appreciate that.
Undivided attention.
And we're so divided. Our
Yeah.
attention gets so divided. I mean, and there is something to be said about having somebody like literally right there with you.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's on a Zoom call,
Yeah.
because there's so much that's dividing us and are vying for our attention. Like there'll be a notification. I'm getting really good at when I need to actually spend time with something to turn off my phone notifications and give myself an hour. Now, that being said, I still have Facebook. It's still open in my tabs, and I could, if someone actually messaged me, I would see it. Um, at the moment, but just having that time and that space. My family also knows that if I don't answer my phone, they'll look at Facebook.
Right.
So I'm in emergency mode. I've been in emergency mode, and I'm sick of emergency mode. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I need this to stop. Um,
Well,
yeah,
it's one of those things that you can't just stop.
I know. Isn't it fun? It's fun.
We'll say
We don't
that.
have control of it. Yes, the
We'll just
fun
say
is.
that.
I'm going to keep that as my thought process on it. But like I said, when it was important, when I realized how important it was, is when he was recoiling from my touch, and it was really hurting me.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, what the hell? And when we looked at the love languages and we talked about it, we had a conversation about it. You know, there was a whole thing, but ultimately, our love languages were so different, it would have never worked because
I don't know that it wouldn't work. I feel like it probably could work. It would just be very, like, there would be a lot of work behind. You have to work towards those things. That's part of being in a relationship. You know what I mean? I mean, don't get me wrong, if physical touch is like repelling to you, then, it might not work if the other person is so set on physical touch that,
yeah.
because yeah, it'll fuck with your psyche because you don't feel like you're getting what you need out of the relationship,
Hmm.
right?
And I think looking back, my relationship with Eddie, touch was important. Like
Right, he rubbed your feet
he
every night. Like,
every night he cleaned. I got pedicures every night, every day, and it was funny because at one point I had Eddie that would be there scraping my feet, and I had my dog Ted who would lay on my lap and lick my hands, my arms, and at one point I got over. Like I'm like, you guys gotta stop,
right, quit
just
touching
stop,
me.
right?
Do you
Because I
think
was
that
so
maybe
overstimulated.
having that though set you up for that to be important in other relationships?
Very much. I mean, very could be. Um, but looking back, touch was always one of the ways that, and my family, my parents, mom had back issues and had fibro and had all the things, so you didn't touch her.
Yeah.
So from like high school on, you didn't touch mom.
Right.
Like, and when you did, it was like not really a hug, not really, because you were
So for me,
afraid.
that I have fibro, and I mean, there are days definitely that like it would hurt, you know what I mean? But for the most part, like a lot of times it will help me to feel better because it's like it's almost like putting a weighted blanket
Mhm.
and then taking it off so it like relieves the pressure of everything.
Yeah,
But I'm weird about who touches me too. So there's that part.
yeah.
I mean,
I'm
it is my third though. Like I said, I love a good hug. Hugs are so super important. If we're talking any kind of love, energy, connection, it is proven, it's scientifically proven that you need X amount of hugs a day. Um, eh, to like, it stops depression and
Mhm.
makes you feel good. It will heal you physically. Hug your
It's one of
peeps. I don't get enough
it,
hugs. That's for fucking sure. I do
I
not
don't
get
get
enough
enough.
hugs.
I don't get enough touching at all. Like, I there are days, maybe even weeks, where I don't even have anyone touch me.
Oh, I could
Like,
easily say that.
yeah, like,
Oh
because
yeah.
Madison, if it wasn't for the dogs, I mean, and I'm not talking anything nasty or anything like that, just getting a hug or, someone
Yeah.
putting their hand on my shoulder. Like, even like a little, like,
Now that I think, I don't even know the last time that her holding my
you know,
hand to tattoo it. Just kidding.
mhm, right? Yeah, I just, I live by myself for the most
Yeah.
part. I mean, yes, I am in the driveway. Um, I mean, I guess technically, when I was helping dad when dad was here, I mean, I was getting touched a little bit, but
Yeah, but that's
the other,
not, we're talking like in
yeah,
some sort of affectionate, loving manner, right? Like
but
in a,
my sister the other day, I went and picked up my cookies, and when I picked up my cookies, when I talked to my sister, um, my Girl Scout cookies, um, I got a hug from her.
yeah. My
Um,
sister gives the best hugs.
my sister don't, but the fact that she's actually giving hugs is huge because
Right.
she has things.
Yeah,
So,
my sister gives the best hugs. One of my best friends, her brother is one of those that like I just meld when he hugs me, and he's like a big brother to me, too. I'm not, yeah, we've known each other for a hot minute, and I just like could meld into him. He gives just the most amazing, yummy, all the goodness hugs. Like, he's just that
there,
person. So every time I see him, I'm like, I just love your hugs.
the karaoke host
There you go. Yeah.
on Tuesdays, he gives amazing, melt, beautiful, like, and yeah, um,
And that
just
also
thinking
has
about
to
it
do
like
with
that.
like
Ooh,
spirituality, energy, the energy of that person, whether you connect with that person. So when we're talking about, like, yes, we're talking about these love languages, but also the body chemistry between two people, right? And
mhm,
this does not have to be a sexual chemistry. So, I say chemistry, but it does not necessarily have to be a sexual chemistry, just a complementary energy, someone who really cares about you or cares for people and loves you and just loves people. Like those tend to be the best hugs. Like my sister's not a hugger, but that's
she loves you.
like right for me it's And
Yeah.
I'm neurospicy, so I think part of it is that too, of like those people that are really make me feel safe, right? It's
Yeah.
a safety thing.
My sister Rachel,
Yeah.
um, actually, you know what? We've gotten a lot of hugs lately from her. We've been hugging a lot. Um, I'm not the only one going through all the stuff I'm going through. My
Yeah.
siblings are just as, if not more, on everything that's going on. So, it's one of these. I'm so glad I'm here
Yeah.
because I can have that time with have that time, and I can be that support and be that. And it's kind of funny because as I'm and only because I'm thinking about this, I'm like, me and my sister, that the fact that we've hugged that much. I've talked to my sister more in the past month and a half than I did all last year,
Yeah.
probably. So it's not that I don't like her, not that it's just where we run into different orbits.
Right.
So
Yeah.
um, having that having that love language and that comfort, and knowing how to comfort somebody is huge,
Yes.
huge.
Yeah. Especially if you're
And
partners, right? Like,
yes,
knowing how
ooh,
to speak each other's love language is so important, and it feeds that relationship back and forth, right? So if you notice that your partner maybe is a gift giver, right?
mhm,
And they just it brings them so much joy to give gifts. That means that their love language is receiving gifts. They
right,
give what they want back, right? We give what we want back most of the time. Um and so pay attention to those things of people in or people in your life of what do they enjoy? What language do they speak? Because they'll show you what their love language is, right?
yeah,
Um they're going to show you because that's how they're going to give,
that's how they're gonna give love.
that's how they're
And
going to give love. Yeah.
it's funny because I realized that with my most recent ex, I didn't do a love, I didn't do this, and I'm looking at some of the things in the relationship as I'm going through this. I'm
As
like,
we're talking about it and you're like,
as we're talking
"Oh,
about it, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, we're
yeah.
probably on love languages, and not in a horrible way, because not like the one I was telling you about that we were on opposite sides of the love language. I think that touch might be 2 or 3
Right.
for him, as opposed, and he's not opposed to it, but it's not his number one. And
Right.
I think that something else might be. I'm going to assume quality time.
Yes. Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it's gift giving is number 2, and then touch is 3.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Now we're going to have
wow, not,
everyone listening pay attention to what your partner shows you, right?
mhm,
And then you could probably figure it out. If if they are Johnny on the spot of doing the honeydew list for you, or she is, packing your lunch and doing this or doing that, then acts of service is probably their love language, right? Um, they want to serve you in some way, which that is low on my list. It's
yeah,
right above gift giving on that list, like
mhm.
because
For the same reasons, like it gets thrown in your
right.
face, and I think that that's why it's so low on mine also,
Yeah.
because so many people have. And thinking
I
back
did this
again,
for you. Yeah.
I did this for you. And thinking back, I think Eddie's, that was probably high on his list, because he was always trying to do something for me. Like
Right.
all those little things, all those little, and then touch would have been way high on his list because
Yeah, he
he
was
was
always
another one.
touchy feely. Yeah.
He was always touching me. We didn't have sex for 5 years, 7, but he was always it was always touch.
That's
So
interesting that, we've talked about this before. I can't wait until next month when we're talking about it's all about sex, baby. Next month is all about sex.
we're gonna have
Um,
some fun over here.
because it's interesting that you said that and that there have been um I'm going to call you out a little bit. The more recent relationships where they are not a lot of physical in the sense of what you would think. And so
Hmm.
that is something that I went through in relationships as well. So I can't wait until we start getting into that next month because that's an interesting dynamic with things.
I've been so looking back on my
Yeah,
on my most recent stuff. It goes um someone that isn't quite there, like not as physically an issue, like
right.
then someone that's hyper physical, and then someone that's not, and that's kind of my
Yeah,
mo. Um, or I have an hyper time like October. We talked about that. October, I was highly sexual.
right.
And then in November, it just kind of slowed down, and that's when I was started dating.
Right.
And it was like, although I was fully able to do whatever I wanted to do, I just didn't
Yeah.
and didn't really want to. Like, but October was fucking crazy. So
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. It's going to be
I can't wait.
interesting.
I can't wait.
Um
This is
I know. Um
we get to get
so
kinky.
let's talk about spiritual traditions and love and connection, right? Um
Yay!
these are like all over, finding someone who has the same spiritual values and beliefs as you, I think is really, really important. Now, don't come at me. Anyone who says, well, I fucking am Catholic and married a Jewish boy. I understand that it happens. They make great Hallmark movies about it. It
But
does happen.
Catholicism and Judaism are very very similar
I,
in their
I'm
actual practice. It's
Right,
very similar.
but my point is you have to be
Yeah,
there has to be a conversation about that ahead of time. And you have to really respect the other person's religious views. I was just throwing that out there as an
yeah,
example of that's what came to
right.
mind off the top of my head. But I have friends who they were I have this couple of friends of mine and they've been together for many moons now, and they've had their ups and downs and um but I never in a million years would have put them as a couple,
Hmm.
right? And I never quite understood her being with him,
Okay.
right? Like um and they met at a party at my house, which was is even funnier, right? And I used to my sister and I used to throw this fucking kick-ass Halloween party every year. And when we were like in our late teens, early 20s. And they met at a party at our house. But she said to me that the reason what they connected about, she agreed half-assly to like she agreed to go out with him one time just to fucking appease him and, like I don't know what made her decide to go out with him, but she did. And she said that what connected them was their views on spirituality and their religious views, right? They're both
Mhm.
pagan, Norse following pagans. I'm using that term loosely, you know.
Right.
But their children are even named after gods and goddesses, you know, type of thing. And so that was what connected them. Two people that you would have never thought, you know, physically would be to get, you know, those type of things, but their spirituality and their religious beliefs is really what drew them to each other. And she said that was one of the that's the reason why I continued to date him, was because we had such similar views, right?
Um, I'm trying to think if there's anyone I dated that I would consider having really similar views to me. Um, Not really. It was one of the issues that Eddie and I ended up having. Part of like towards the end when I was involved in a spiritual life center. Not that he didn't go, because he would go. Um, and he sang and I sang and and Eddie was a singer. He was on TV, like
Right.
he did the things in the 80s. So um not really. Um yeah, no one I've dated has been really spiritual, but they weren't really spiritual at all.
Right.
So it wasn't that they had a
So they're
strong view on
right. It wasn't that. Well, they right. They didn't. It's not that they didn't have the opposite viewpoint of you.
it.
They
Right.
just didn't have much
Of a view at all.
of a view at all. See, I see
I
now that is different than having such a staunch different view on things. Like
Yeah.
at this point, I don't think that like I would not. I wouldn't. I will if I'm looking at a dating profile. One of the things I look at is their religious views, right?
Mhm.
Because if you put that you're, and I have nothing against Christians, so don't come at me about that shit either. I don't give a fuck, right? I would if their profile says I go to church every Sunday, we're not gonna mesh. We're not gonna
Yeah.
mesh because there's I have strong opinions about that, and not that their belief system is wrong,
Mhm.
because everyone needs to believe in something, but it is so vastly different that we're not on the same wavelength. Now, I would rather be with someone who didn't have many spiritual views but respected mine than have the
Mhm.
opposite,
Yeah.
right? Like, if they don't have any, then they're at least open minded enough to maybe open up to what I'm doing. But I've been with guys who were just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, and I don't like that either, you know? Not with
I'm
what
at
I
a point.
do.
I'm at a point now. Like
Yeah,
I couldn't necessarily, like, you would have to. Even my most recent ex went to meditation with me.
right,
You know, not that he was like a staunch anything. I think he's another one that was like kind of there more than
right,
anything else. But he went to meditation. There were things that I did that he enjoyed, and we would talk about that a lot.
right.
So yeah, I mean it's and with the whole tantra thing, I got to really connect with him on that kind of level. We really did start talking about it that way,
Yeah,
um, because of I he was the first one I did a forced meditation with, so it was kind of cool.
yeah.
I mean, really, like actual forced meditation. The first one I ever did was on the my ex before, but that was he didn't know it was happening. It just kind of happened, and then I realized, oh wait, I can actually do this. This is actually a really cool way to do an energy work for me.
Well, yeah, because it fits into who you are.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's um and as you know, I still struggle with the whole energy work. Like knowing that I could do it, knowing that I
So here's the deal, though. Everyone can do it.
right.
Not everyone is meant to do it as a living, like because
Right.
we raise, as an energy worker, you have to learn that you're not healing them, you're raising their vibration for them to be able to heal themselves, right? And so,
Right.
putting into forced meditations and doing different, different techniques and different ways that we do it, um y- like you
Yeah.
choose to do that. It might not be your thing to do a lot of energy work, or whatever the case may be. Everyone
Yeah.
can do it. It's whether you choose to hone in on the gifts or not.
Right. And it's um
But I'm definitely looking for someone that has a connection of, they have to believe in the energies. They don't have to believe exactly the way I do, obviously, but they truly have to believe in what I do, and
yeah.
that's really important for me. So I look, if it's a spiritual, I want to ask what kind of spiritual. What does spirituality mean to them? What is, like, I want, those are the conversation I'm looking to have, men. All you dudes who want to have superficial conversations, those aren't the I know you want to fuck me. If you didn't want to fuck me, you wouldn't be hitting me up in a dating app. Like, you know. And if you didn't have the potential for me to fuck you, I wouldn't be having a conversation. Let's be realistic. I mean, let's just be realistic about it, right? Like, and so, can we have a real conversation? I hate we don't have superficial conversations. I don't have superficial conversations. If I am having what I feel like is a superficial conversation, I will cut that shit short, because I I am, no, no. I want to have a real healthy conversation about something, and it has to be a fucking intelligent one.
Hey, that's a lot these days.
I know.
That's a
Oh, I know. And I have
that's a
no issue
whole
being single until I find what I'm really looking for. I think we settle so much. I had this
yeah.
conversation with a friend of mine this week. We're talking about love and connection and spirituality, um, and and finding someone. And sometimes it being psychic really fucking sucks sometimes, when your friends come to you and ask you about a relationship or this or that. Um, and I can't lie to you. I won't lie to you. I shouldn't say that. I could.
Right.
I will not lie to you. I am going, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you. And sometimes, if you're close enough to me, I'm going to tell you even if you don't ask me, because someone has to tell you. And I say it out of love and because I care about you, not to be a fucking douchebag about it. And I have a friend, and she's like seeing this guy, and not that she couldn't be content with him, right?
Yeah.
Because she could be, and he would take very good care of her, and all the things. Um, but there's more to a relationship than just being content in a relationship, right? And not that being content is not a good thing,
Right.
but when you are settling for less than what you deserve because you're going to be content, I have to tell you, there's someone else out there that's going to check the boxes. You know, People tell me all the time, "You're fucking picky, Heather." I've had friends go, "You're just so picky." And I'm like, "Yep, sure am, because I've dated them all. I've dated ex-felons, I've dated drug addicts, I've dated the drug dealer, I've dated gangbangers, I've dated really good men, like, I have dated the gambit of all different kinds of men, and I'm not going to settle, because I have done that before. And look where it got me.
I
I'd
don't
rather be
think
alone.
yeah, there's a big thing about for me, like there's a big difference between am I dating you or are we fucking? So,
Yes. Yeah.
um and I think one of the big problems with my most recent ex, the problem was the label. It wasn't anything, it wasn't that we had any problems, anything, it just labeled us off. And
Yeah.
with that label came things that was expected. And couldn't actually be there in this moment. Like I couldn't
Right.
go there. Like
Right.
on my side of it, I'm not even nothing about him, just about me.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that labels are sometimes important. They are. They do imply things, and one of
Yeah.
the things that I talk about a lot lately is: are you having implied expectations, or are you having explicit agreements?
Yes.
And the way to make relationships stronger and better and more fitting is to really have the conversation and have the so that it's not implied. They
Yes.
can't read your mind. They can't. Well, Heather might be able to, but that's
And not quite mind reading. Not quite.
not quite. I'm I mess with you.
Not on command anyway.
Right. So, there's something to be said about actually having the conversation. And I think that kind of wrap up this kind of topic is like knowing people's love languages, knowing what they're actually need in a relationship, having the conversation for what you need
Yeah.
from that, what it means to you. I just did a wedding not too long ago, and one of the things I'd make them do before I marry them is like, no, you're going to sit down, you're going to define what marriage is for you.
Right.
What does that mean to you? I'm going to use it in the service, but you're going to give me a definition. I make them write their agreements to each other. I agree to the blah 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 blah.
I think that's beautiful.
And it is. But people don't do that. People
Right.
don't think about that. They don't have those agreements. So then they're implied agreements, and they're assuming they understand, and they assume that they know what marriage is because, this is what it means. Marriage means this,
Right.
and it really doesn't. You really need to define what that means to you, why it's there.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
agree. I agree. I think, being able to have healthy conversations and talk about things, right? I don't want to argue. I want to have a discussion about what I'm thinking about right now before it becomes an issue, right?
mhm.
And being comfortable enough to have those conversations. And what are deal breakers for you? What are, if you're not in a relationship, like think about those things. What are things that you just are a hard no for you? Hard no, right? Like
Right.
one of my hard no's, and this is where my friends are always like, fuck, Heather, is small children. If you have a child under the age of 16, 17 years old, I'm not going to date you. I'm not going to. I'm not.
Yeah.
Because I've raised my kids. I raised my child. I helped raise other people's children. I have fixed other people, I shouldn't say fixed other people's children, but there's a reason why I have, 7 or 8 bonus children that call me mom. There's a reason. Um and so I don't want baby mama drama. I don't I don't even talk to the father of my child. I have nothing to say to him. There's no reason for us to speak at all, ever, ever, ever again, unless something happens to our child. I, that and so yeah, I mean, get down to the brass tacks of what you really want. What are deal breakers for you? What are you looking for? What are your expectations? And if you're in a relationship, you might want to redefine that, right?
Yeah.
Look at your relationship and
What is that little thing that keeps bugging you?
yeah,
And I can guarantee you it's an agreement that you never made.
yes, yeah,
Whatever that is.
whatever that
It
is.
could whatever that is. Could be
So
that
if you
they
have
chew with their
not
mouth open.
taken, if you don't know what your love language is, you should go find out.
Yes, definitely do
Get your
that.
partner to play along with you, and
Offer blowjobs. That always helps.
There you go. There you go. Offer a blowjob. Blowjobs always make it easier.
Exactly. It's a good bribe. I promise. Doesn't matter if it's a guy or a girl.
Right.
Still works.
And that's our time. Thanks for
I
coming and
know.
hanging out with us. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me tonight. Even though
Thank
I'm
you.
cranky and all over the place, and I'm still recuperating from the weekend.
You know, I just appreciate you and who you are, and
Thank you.
I'm glad I can be here when you're in that space, because Lord knows you're there for me when I'm in that space a lot lately. So thank you. And thank you guys. You guys need to go stop at Spiritual Sex and Candy, pick up the cool merch, wear my cool merch. Heather has all the motherfucking things.
All the motherfucking things.
spiritualsexandcandy.com. You can also look there, and both of us have links, trees. You can go and get anything, book a call with either one of us, pick up our journals, our books, our stuff.
All of our stuff. Go support us in some way.
Go support us. Sanctuary on Sunday at 11 o'clock. If you go to Orange Dragonfly Center, actually you can go, I think I have it in my, you can even look at it right there in the link tree. It has all the info. You guys are loved.
Have a
Thank
good
you
night.
so much.
Love you.
Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.